Welcome to the Germinate podcast, where agriculture, business, and innovation take root and thrive. I'm Joe Sampson, and with nearly 2 decades of experience in agricultural equipment and scaling businesses, I'm here to bring you actionable insights, inspiring stories, and strategic advice. Whether you're an industry veteran or just starting out, this podcast is your guide to cultivating ideas, expanding your knowledge, and growing your venture. So let's get started and germinate your path to success. Welcome back to the Germinate podcast. I'm smiling already because I got Mr. Jason Swanson on with me, and Jason and I go back a long time. I'm trying to think, probably 30 years.
Oh, not quite 30, 20 though, 20 for sure.
Yeah, I guess 20. I met you in it was still in the 90s, my friend. I think it was still in the 90s. Well, maybe not. No, it was 2000-ish, 2001, something like that.
Yep, something like that.
So yeah, I mean, not a lot of people know my history. A lot of people think I'm just an agricultural guy. I grew up on a farm and I had cattle and pigs, and that's not the case whatsoever. I'm a city kid, and my first professional role, I guess I'll say, in Des Moines was with a company called Business Publications Corporation, where Jason works. And yeah, it was some crazy times back then, but it's a place where I learned to hone my sales skills, because, BPC is a publisher in Des Moines that has a lot of different publications, and in those days had a publication called CityView, which was like the arts and entertainment guideline or guidebook, music and entertainment, all things entertainment in the city, right, Jason?
Well, it was, yes, but it was also supposed to be the alternative newspaper and be kind of edgy and out there. And we didn't always succeed at that mission. We were maybe a little less edgy than we thought we were. But
Right. That's a good point. There's some stories there, but it was a weekly newspaper. So it was deadlines every week. And it was email was a thing, but not really. So it was a lot of driving to customers, a lot of personal interactions, a lot of tight deadlines, which I already said. So it was just kind of this unique little twist on how to implement myself into sales. That was step one, but really step two is I made some really good friends along the way, specifically at CityView and BPC, and Jason Swanson's one of those guys. So that was a super long introduction, and after all these years, we're still talking, which I just think is awesome. So welcome aboard, Jason Swanson.
Thanks for having me, Joe.
So tell everybody what it is that you do now, your role now. I mean, I introduced Business Publication Corporations, but it's made some drastic changes through the years. So go ahead.
Sure. So I actually started out like Joe. I was a CityView salesperson. He was significantly more successful at selling CityView ads than I was. But over time, I worked my way up, and now I'm the vice president of business publications. That means that I oversee a lot of different things, including something I never thought I'd be involved in, which is some sales management. That was something that Joe dipped his toe into before he left our place. He was doing a little bit of sales management.
Yeah.
I do the circulation audience development stuff. So I make sure the people that are supposed to get the publications get it. I sell subscriptions, do some IT stuff. They've let me write a couple times, which is always,
Yeah, you got a story there on your wall behind you.
I got a story behind me on my wall, and it's one of Joe's heroes, actually. It's Jamie Pollard. He's made Iowa State relevant, and Joe just really appreciates that. He thinks it's sort of like your two-party system in the United States. Having two good teams in Iowa is good for everybody, right, Joe?
There you go. Hey, you were the first normal Iowa State fan I think I've ever met in my life. And we had this awesome little back and forth for years with Iowa and Iowa State. But I respect it, man. I respect it. In those days, Iowa had your number, but it's totally different now. I don't like the direction of things, but that's another podcast.
You'll get used to it. You're still young and adaptable. You'll be fine.
There you go. I'm not young, but maybe I'm adaptable.
Yeah.
So anyway, business publications. So yeah, I mean, this is sort of a unique twist to this podcast because a lot of people think Iowa is this agricultural state, and really it is. I mean, I pulled some stats before this, which I think are kind of interesting. We're the number one corn producer in the U.S., 3 billion bushels annually. Number 2 soybean, producer in the US, 600 million bushels annually. 97% of Iowa's land is used for agriculture. These are all coming from Google, by the way, so you know it's true.
I was gonna say that 97% seems really
It
high,
does, doesn't it?
but then if you've ever driven from, Des Moines to Davenport, maybe it's maybe it's accurate.
Maybe it's accurate. I don't know, somebody can fact check us, but there's much more to Iowa than agriculture, and, Des Moines is this city that's kind of tied into Iowa that somewhat is this forgotten place, but I say there's much more to Iowa than ag, but every business is sort of tied to agriculture in a roundabout way, and, you've kinda had a front row seat to all things business, specifically in the Des Moines metro, but also branching out into Iowa. So, I think people miss that Iowa does have an identity kind of outside of this. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, I think more so now than we did, 20 years ago or 40 years ago. You do notice whether you're watching a football game on TV or during the presidential elections, you get a lot of B-roll shots of cornfields and hay bales,
Right.
and there is a lot more going on in Iowa than cornfield and hay bales. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I mean, that is our identity. That's who we are. We're feeding the country, but we also have, a thriving insurance industry. There's a surprising entrepreneurial kind of ecosystem here and we're still a place where investors and startups are getting together and you can make those connections pretty easily and things happen. And then remote work is obviously a game changer because you can work for a company in California or New York, and you can be sitting on your deck in West Des Moines or Waukee or Adel or wherever. It doesn't matter.
Right. Yeah, why do you think that is? Why do you think I? Because it's true, Iowa is this sort of hotbed for and we hear about it and maybe just we're persuaded by it, and that's probably the power of your business, but we hear about it a lot that there's these companies that want to, put headquarters in Iowa and hire people from Iowa. Is it our work ethic? Is it our connections? Is this a combination of both? What's your thoughts there?
Um, I think the cost of living is inexpensive.
It's a good point.
So that makes it friendly for employers and to attract employees. It also means they're probably paying people less here than they are if you're headquartered in outside of San Francisco. The salaries are going to be a lot higher. I think we have a pretty well-educated workforce. The state government is trying to work on tax rates for both corporations and individuals to try to make it more attractive. That's something they think will be a driver to bring more companies here. I just think there's a lot of factors.
Yeah. And it's I think you nailed it too when we watch football games or even I was at the race in Newton this past weekend. Have you ever
Yep.
been to one of those races, by the way?
I have not. I know you're a racing guy.
Oh, well, I was a lot more, but dude, we had some unbelievable access this time around. I was literally in the pits as in the middle of the race as they're doing pit stops. It was really cool. But the point is, I think they named that race like the something that the corn 250 or I can't remember the
Right.
exact name of it, but, either way, that yeah, you're right. They show cornfields, they show maybe they go to a hog barn or they
Well, and
show a
it was sponsored by Sukup, and they're
souk
one of
up.
our great agricultural based companies from Sheffield, and they do innovative and groundbreaking things. They've done some amazing things, and
Yeah,
they're still located in their same hometown where they started.
yeah, yeah, and that's a company that's really moving and shaking. They do a lot of agriculture, but they're kind of branching outside into technology and,
Hmm.
they're way more than grain bins, that's for sure. That's a company to continue to watch as they're changing the world with some of their technology. It's pretty impressive, but
Well, then they do those, and I'm going to get the name wrong, so I apologize, but those safety huts
Mhm,
that
yep,
they send to, maybe underdeveloped areas that are prone to have big storms like tropical storms in the Caribbean or whatever. And they actually can save people's lives, giving them a place to ride out the storm. It's crazy to think that they're just in a small town and it's the same family business they had been 50 years ago.
Yeah, that's one of those success stories that's fun to see. You're right, I've seen those at farm shows. They look like little grain bins, but
Yep.
you walk inside, it's a little shelter, a little house. I
Yep.
think they've even provided those to, low income countries for little for houses as well, and
Yep.
it's a fantastic kind of evolving story to watch, but where the heck was I going?
I don't know. I got you off track. It's
No,
smart.
no, no. I was talking about how everything is kind of tied to agriculture. One of those, and I'm gonna let you talk about it now, and I don't want to, but I'm gonna let you, but is the great Iowa State University, and really, I've been engulfed with Iowa State since I got into agriculture because everybody at Iowa State or a lot of people in the industry that work in agriculture went to Iowa State. It's this thriving school that has a great agricultural system to it. What are your thoughts there?
I, uh, I, I guess I didn't know that. I knew something was different about you, and I think I finally figured it out that now you've, been around all these great cyclones all this time.
Oh man, it's tough. It is tough. It's all I hear about. In fact, in my last employer, I think I was the only Hawkeye fan there, which is it's a struggle. But then you have to get on board because there's these engineers that are designing these great things. And, I have a story of one of my cousin's kids works at a major big company. I won't name drop here, but they went to Iowa State as an engineer, built a race car, uh, engineered, designed, built, raced this race car. And then that program got him involved with a major company that starts with a V in Pella, Iowa. Well, I'll just drop their name. It's Vermeer.
Yep.
And he started as an intern there during his Iowa State years and has now developed himself into a fantastic career. They have this great developmental program that gets, kids involved at an early stage. And I
Yep.
just think that's so important. So I can't fault Iowa State for that.
No, no. And I mean, kind of like you were talking about Iowa and there being more to the state of Iowa than just agriculture. And that I think that's true for Iowa State is obviously it's a great ag college and it
Sure.
produces a lot of people that you've interacted with now in that field. Engineering has always been a strong suit, but I would say over the past 10 years, they've really, or 15 years, they've really leaned into their business school. The
Hmm.
business school under Dean Spalding really took a leap forward. They're internationally known for their entrepreneurship programs, so they've really started to try to foster those people that are going to be the next ones coming up with the big ideas. And to that extent, we have a publication called Innovation Iowa that a lot of your startups and people like that are featured in there. But we
Hmm.
give out an entrepreneurship award, and Dr. Wendy Winterstein at Iowa State, actually got the award, I think last year, just for fostering a whole culture at the school in every college, in every department of entrepreneurship and how you're trying to bring that out in the students and how you're trying to find new innovative ways to do your own job. And so I
Hmm.
think from the top down, they've really tried to lean into that. Um, there's there's more going on here than just ag and insurance.
Sure. Sure.
So it's been interesting to watch. And they have a new dean coming in now that just started in the business college. So it'll be interesting to see how they put their fingerprints. Everybody has their own things, and it'll be interesting to see what the next wave of change is at Iowa State.
So how many different publications do you guys have now? You mentioned what was it called? Innovation
Yeah,
Iowa?
we have a publication called Innovation Iowa that actually is part of the so our flagship publications, we'll start at the beginning.
Yeah.
Flagship publications are the Des Moines Business Record, and that comes out weekly. It's a business newspaper that covers the central Iowa business community, but does branch out into the state. Once a month, we do a special section called Business Record Iowa, where we're focusing on stories. A lot of them are in manufacturing that are
Mhm.
affecting the whole state. Then on the other side of our business, our flagship publication is something called DSM Magazine. That is it's Des Moines City Social Magazine. So we're focused on interesting people and places and things that happen around here that are, um, that make Des Moines special is really what we do. Then we have a bunch of smaller publications, maybe that come out once a year or a couple times a year. Innovation Iowa is one of those. And it couples with, we have a bunch of electronic products as well. So we do newsletters. The Business Record Daily goes out twice a day. We have one called Fearless that is for women leaders and in both their work and in their everyday life. We have a commercial real estate newsletter that's a very popular newsletter. We're really strong in the commercial real estate field. And then Innovation Iowa is one that has a weekly newsletter, and then it also has an annual publication where we really lean into those cutting edge things that are happening across the state. And then we get that out to the people that are both involved in those kind of things, but also to the general public. So it's going to the people that subscribe to the Business Record, for example, because you might not be in a field or in an industry that you think is innovative, but there is a chance that what somebody else is doing out there is going to have an application for what you're doing ultimately.
Yeah. Is and don't take this the wrong way, but you're the perfect person to answer this. A lot of people outside of the media business or the publishing industry think like newspapers and magazines are slowly dying their
Right.
death. What's your take on that?
Well, I would say we are not going to stop publishing print publications, but compared to 20 years ago, the portion of our annual revenue that comes from digital offerings, the digital publications that we do, the newsletters and things, has grown exponentially. So
Hmm.
that is an area that we see continued growth in. We also are just at the very beginning of launching a new initiative that probably isn't safe to put out in the world yet, but
Yeah.
we are looking at new, different ways that we can take the content that we're already producing and extend the distribution method and the types of ways that we get it out. So if you think about the Germinate podcast, for example,
Mhm.
you've found a way to build and extend what you do so that people get to know Joe. We're looking at ways that we can take information that we're already producing, and instead of having it be a one-off thing or something that we talk about at an in-person event, how do we turn that into something that we're delivering digitally to you, whether it's video or audio or streaming or whatever,
Sure.
on a consistent basis throughout the year?
Well, I think that's maybe the power of BPC through the years that was maybe unintended or overlooked, but distribution is something that you guys have been all you've always been fantastic at. Meaning you find even in my days back 20 years ago, we found the right locations to put the copies of CityView or BP or
Right.
Business Record because it was like, oh, that bar or that restaurant went through whatever 25 copies and that one only went through 2. So let's take some from that, move it
Yep.
over
Yep.
here and then moving on to probably today, it's the distribution of trying to network and try to bring people together and try to get put as much in front of your audience as you possibly
Right.
can in the most engaging way. It's impressive and it's not easy and clearly it's working. Over media or excuse me, over newspapers and just putting out newspapers and magazines,
Well,
for instance.
well, I think the secret is we don't try to be something for everybody.
Sure.
If you're the daily paper in town, you're trying to cover as much general news as you can because somebody out there might want to know about it.
Yeah.
We let other people cover politics and cover things like that, and we're hyper focused on the business journal side. It is all about business, and if we do cover something that is happening at the Capitol or whatever, we're looking at it very specifically, not is it right or is it wrong, but very specifically through the lens of how is this going to affect businesses in our community and the business leaders that run them. And so by doing that, we thread the needle and we stay apolitical. So we don't what do we say? We don't report on horse races. So we're not looking at should you vote for Joe or Jason. We
Right.
look at we look at after the fact, what does it mean that Joe got elected?
Sure.
And
Yeah.
and what does it mean that this bill passed, not whether the bill's right or wrong or how it's going to affect people. So we're always looking at it through that very specific lens. And I think that that helps build your credibility too, because people know that you don't have an agenda. And if they think they found one, they're looking way too hard because somebody on the other side is going, well, I saw it the other way, and that means we're doing our job. We're striking that spot in the middle. And so the credibility and the trust that our readers give to us, our average reader is a 52-year-old um, C-suite executive, vice president or above for the Business Journal, and they find 30 or 40 minutes a week to read the publication. That tells you that as busy as they are, they're prioritizing looking at the content that we're putting out. They think it's valuable. We say that our goal at the Business Record is to help business do business better. And
Yeah.
we try to look at everything through that lens. How is it going to help anybody from somebody who's just starting out, let's say just started their own business like you versus Dan Houston or Deanna Strabel, who's running Principal? What's the information that you all need to know? And that's what we try to do.
Yeah, I think that's why I've always tried to stay somewhat connected to you guys and what's going on over there, just because I think you nailed it. It's providing assistance for people like me and all the other folks that are doing business in Iowa on how to make their businesses a little bit stronger, in different ways, not just to Iowans, but it encompasses all things. There's different ways to get insurance. There's different ways to maybe add some technology or add some marketing or whatever the case may be. I mean, we talked about it a little bit with Iowa State, and let's not discredit the Drakes, the UNIs, the Iowas, the Simpsons, all the other
Sure.
impressive colleges that are providing these talents and skills for all the businesses that represent Iowa. But yeah, you nailed it with you're making it easier to do business in this state, not in a political way, not in this slanted way. And that's that's hard to do in this politically
Well,
slanted world.
I also think one of the things that is sort of a unique skill that we have, or is something that as a company we have really focused on. You talked about networking a little bit, or you
Mhm.
touched on that. We have over 40 events every year. Some are virtual, a lot of them are in person. They're a mix of informational, so it might be a panel discussion on a topic. We've done ones on AI, and we did one about what the new tax laws could mean for city government, things like that. We also do award things where we recognize up and coming business leaders. We recognize what we call the women of influence. We have sages over 70 for people that are later in life. But really, what all of those things do is it gives us a reason to put a influential audience all in the same room.
Right.
And then the networking happens and things happen. And, you know, you never know what might grow out of an event that we had. What two people get, they make a connection, and the next thing you know, you've got the next big thing in Des Moines
Oh, dude,
is
that is so valuable. And I'm part of a lot of organizations like in the agricultural industry, and almost always when you come out of one of those that, they give a survey and say, "What'd you like about this week?" or whatnot, and everybody says the networking is the
yep.
best part. And so, the amount of deals that I've done on a napkin in a lobby bar over a cocktail
I
are,
think
I
those
can
are legally binding too. As
I
long
I
as they
know they
sign the
are.
napkin, it's fine.
I know they are. There's a story coming out. I'll send it to you about the way one company I interacted, and they're super successful now. And we literally brought this idea up in a lobby bar on a napkin and said, "Hey, you should really get into this." And now they're selling millions of dollars of worth of this product that we talked about. I think it was an Omaha, Nebraska event. And I think about it in my own business now, like how do you bring people together? How do you network? How do you, because everybody loves networking. It just people feel like they don't have enough time for it, or they have to make time for it, and you guys have mastered that. That's a mastery that you guys have done. You said you have over 40 events
We have over
throughout the
40
year?
events, and you know, the virtual ones came about. We never did virtual events ever until
COVID?
COVID happened.
Yeah.
And then we went, hey, we can't just sit back for we don't know how long this is going to go on. We can't just stop all of our programming. And, you know, we had candidly, we had a lot of great information and speakers and things lined up. We had sponsors in place, so there was a revenue component to it.
Sure.
But at that point, it was somebody needed to try to take the lead on keeping the business community connected, even if you couldn't all be in the same room.
Mhm.
And so we found a way to do that. And the president at the time was a woman named Susanna DeBaca, and she looked at the publisher of business record, Chris Konetsky, and said, "You've got like 6 weeks to figure this out." And he went, okay. And in like 5 weeks, we did our first virtual event, and we were very careful to ask for grace, you know, like, hey,
Yeah.
we've never done this before. The technology could crash or whatever.
Right.
But over time, we figured that out. Now, what we're seeing now is 5 years after COVID that people want to be face to face.
Yeah.
You know, we can get great information out virtually, but a lot of those deals, you're not going to go off on a virtual event and sign a deal on a napkin.
No, no,
Yeah.
and yeah, that's the thing, and that's why virtual events are I'm actually having my first virtual event on I'm gonna do a self-promotion here, but July 30th, 1 to 3 PM. This'll probably
I
come
didn't
out
even know that. I teed you up perfectly.
I
So
know. I don't know if this will come
I'll
out.
send you my ad rates. You
Do it.
can,
Do
yeah,
it. Yeah. I'll give you a little stipend. Uh, but yeah, I'm nervous about it because I don't know how it'll go. I don't know if we'll get 10 people or 10,000. We're not gonna get 10,000, but and it's more just making sure the content I think is good.
yep,
And that's one thing, that's the world we live in today that a company like Business Publications has known for years, but all of us taking on the new branding and social media and all the things that we're all, kind of influenced by today is really all about good content. And if you're not putting out good content as a business or as an individual inside that business, I think you're way behind the times and you got to get on that because it's super important now. You guys have been doing that forever and finding good content, and it's not an easy thing to do. It can become monotonous and difficult, and you gotta stay
yep.
relevant and, you know, is there some tips or tricks that you can teach us or
What to put out good content?
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
How do you
well, if we're
find
doing
it? Where do you
shameless
go?
plugs, we have
Go
a
for
custom content division that can help you with that.
it. Perfect, there you go.
And we do
Uh,
help some a couple of local companies and organizations, and then we do write some website content
okay,
for one of the universities for their business college, not Iowa State. But we do write some content that they post. So those people are going, we know we need to do this. We don't exactly know how to do it or have somebody on staff that can do it.
yeah,
We produce we're in our second year of producing some videos for Wesley Life, where they talk about basically it's sort of about the art of aging gracefully. That's not the actual title, but
okay,
so they've had business leaders in the community, everybody from Connie Weimer, who owns our company, who's still going strong at 92, to people like Rich Willis that they're interviewing and talking about what are your passions, what are the things that keep you going, and
uh-huh,
then they're able to deliver those out to their audiences, and then they can use our platforms to deliver those out too. There's a lot of companies that do it really well on their own too. Like we're not going to be doing, you know, Come and Go has had some interesting social media stuff that they've done, and some other even national companies have done some funny social media stuff. That's not really our brand.
yeah.
As much as I would love to be able to do some of that stuff,
You'd be fantastic at that, by the way.
when CityView went away, the ability to be a little bit snarky and edgy probably went away with it.
Yep, it sure
But
did.
it's about, I really think the key thing is about finding your voice and knowing who the audience is that you're trying to serve, and
Mhm.
then delivering the content that you are, like, you are an expert on ag sales.
Mhm.
You have had a successful career in that, and now you are helping people by using your knowledge. As much as you might think you're an expert on Iowa football, there's a million people sharing that
Right.
content. You need to
Right.
share the stuff that you are uniquely qualified to do, which is why we're on the Germinate podcast today, and why you have a social media presence and whatever, because
Sure.
you you're building. I think the other thing is, are you building your personal brand or your business brand? And you have to decide.
Hey, folks, let's pause the podcast for a second to talk about one of the companies making the Germinate podcast possible. Want to give a huge thanks to GBGI. Here's Mark Adams.
Thanks, Joe. At our shop in Chardon, Ohio, every part we build is made with precision. From the CNC machining to the final inspection, we don't rush because we know your customers can't afford failure. If you're a dealer or OEM who wants reliability built in, give us a look. GBGI, built to spec, built to last. Learn more at gbgiusa.com. GBGI, grow with us.
I think I read something. It was actually on LinkedIn today. Somebody that said, oh, I'm going to ruin the stat. I've already probably ruined stats, but it was like something like 60 or 70% of recruiters are looking at a person's LinkedIn profile as one of the most important things,
Yep.
step one in seeing if they're going to be a good fit for that company. So if you don't have a LinkedIn profile, and if you're not thinking about your personal brand, uh, somebody's going to create it for you if you don't create it for yourself. That's kind of my motto.
Being the father of two now in boys in their 20s,
Right.
thinking about what you're putting out on whatever social platform you're on, whether it's LinkedIn or whether it's
Facebook,
the artist
Instagram.
formerly known as Twitter or
Yeah.
Facebook or whatever, you got to think about that lives forever.
Sure.
I mean, my son, when he was in college, he's he's a creative content person. That's what he does, and
Yeah.
he took a video from uh, The Incredibles and turned it into, like, LeBron James getting all his teammates traded. He got like 500,000 views of that,
Wow.
and like
It's crazy.
75,000 likes and all this stuff. It went completely viral. And he was sitting in class, his girlfriend was sitting in class, and guys were looking at his video going, and not knowing that it was somebody from Iowa State that had done it.
Yeah.
But now, luckily, that was a very innocuous thing. It was no big deal.
Sure. Sure.
But imagine if it went viral for the wrong reason,
Yeah. Right.
and it was something that you'd be trying to outrun the rest of your life,
And it's hard because you got to be vulnerable in a way. And I've likened my journey here over the last 5 months or so as is sort of like walking on a nude beach in Jamaica or something for the first time. You're just like, oh my gosh. I know. Don't get that picture out of your head,
It's
but
too late. Oh no.
Uh, but it's hard. I mean, it's like it's awkward, it's weird. I'm almost 50 years old, and it's like, I should have done this when I was 20 something, but it's also the world we live in today. And I think it's important to be honest and be truthful. And it's okay to be vulnerable. Nobody likes somebody that knows everything and is the
Right.
smartest person in the world. They like, at least I don't think. And so that's challenging, but
Not for a long time, they don't.
not for a long
You
time.
might
Yeah.
like that person briefly.
Yeah, but it goes away quickly because it's like, be real, man. Be
Yep.
honest. It's
I think you
okay.
hit on it though. That's exactly what it is you have to have whatever that voice is that you create has to be who you really are.
Exactly. And if it gets you in trouble, fine. But be okay with that. Be honest about it. I think the other thing that I was kind of more talking about besides social media about relevant topics and relevant content with BPC is, I mean, you guys have been in business for, I don't, and I want to talk about Connie before this is up too,
All
by the
right.
way.
So we've been in
We're going
business
to
42 years.
42 years,
Started in 1983.
83. Okay.
She bought a publication called the Daily Record, which was court transactional stuff in court. And after having it for a while. It went away. They decided they didn't need it anymore. She had 15, 20 years worth of payments to make to the previous owner. And she went, I have nothing to publish. So she created the business record out of, she said, we need a business or a business paper in Des Moines. She had no publishing experience other than this daily record she bought. And 42 years later, we're still going strong.
And I always say that, like, to a lot of people that I talk to, a lot of people have their own business, or they're entrepreneurs, or they're founders, or they're CEOs. And I always ask, like, you have this business, you have this product. Clearly, you had a crossroads at one point in time where you said, "There's a problem, and I need to come up and create a solution."
Right.
And Connie had that at one juncture in the '80s. That said, "Hey, the problem is Iowa doesn't have this, and I can create this." And 42 or 43 years later,
Yep.
whatever the case may be, here she is providing this unreal content that a lot of people have interest in through the years, that has changed and evolved and grown and developed. And now we're on this new cusp of technology. And where does
Sure.
it go from here?
Well, we really try to, like I said at the beginning, we don't try to be something for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So we're looking for need, always looking for what's the need in the community.
Yep.
And then the second question is, can we fill that need? And then how do we do it? And so we have things that, what might have been a need 20 years ago isn't a need now. We used to have a publication called Iowa Next, and it was about it was for high school juniors and seniors. And it was about it was trying to show them the opportunities that were in Iowa, going to different colleges, trades, all that kind of stuff. Super popular for 2 or 3 years. Then the need started to change. And eventually we said, they don't need us to do that anymore.
Yeah.
And so sometimes you have to be willing to say, okay, we'll walk away from that. And then you can find something else that, during COVID, the need to talk about food insecurity, that, here we produce all this food in the state of Iowa, and yet you have all these people that are wondering where their next meal is going to come from, led us to start a program called Iowa Stops Hunger that connected corporations that were interested. We had events that were part of it. We have a print publication that's part of it. We do some e-newsletters around it on kind of a monthly or quarterly basis. But that was where we said, okay, we can't solve it, right?
Sure.
That's not probably our job as a media company.
Mm-hmm.
But if we can amplify the discussion around this, and potentially, like we talked about before, get the right people in the room that can make a big impact, then we step in and that's a direction we would go. Commercial real estate we've been covering forever, and that'll be something that we continue to cover because it's not the biggest publication that we have, either the digital newsletter or the annual print publication, but it's got our highest engagement level, highest open rates for the weekly newsletter, and those people in that industry and the industries related to it. So the commercial real estate brokers, the developers, and then the bankers and the construction people, they rely on the content that we're putting out.
Yeah. What does open rate? Is that what you said? What's that
Yeah.
mean?
So we look at how many newsletters did you send and how many got opened.
Oh, I see. I gotcha.
Yeah. And so the open rate, the national average is like 22%. And the open rate for the commercial real estate weekly newsletter is around 50%.
Dang. Okay. That makes sense.
And so like when it comes, the people that are on that list make time to stop and look at it. It's got transactional stuff in there. So you can see, we have a interactive map that shows new building permits, for example. So you can kind of see what's coming, and it's got what are the big deals that just happened, all that stuff. And they rely on it. We have an in-person event, and you talk about networking, get 300 or 400 people that are involved in the same industry, like you've been to at the ag things, in the same room.
It's gold, man.
There's a lot of energy in that room.
Yep.
Because they're all fighting the same battle every day.
Yeah. They might be competing with one another, but they also are colleagues and they're also wanting to, in the end, I've been all over the world, all over you name it, I've been there. And for the most part, people do really wanna help each other out, I think, if you boil it all down, and there's no and you break it down into an event like that, you get all these people in a room, and they're just trying yeah, they might be competing, but they really do wanna help, and I think that's a big part of what you guys do, and I also am super you guys have been hearing this whole time on all these different topics, and I just wanna keep referring to it as content, which because that's what it is,
Yep.
and the ability to find it and understand trends and understand where things are going. There's my dog barking. Uh, what is next? What do you think is the big thing people are gonna chase here in the future?
So when you say chase in the future, do you think are you talking about our business or just the
Yeah,
community at large?
what's the next content chaser that people are gonna go to find I mean, what y all the things that we're looking at now with AI and technology
Sure.
and where you're going and what direction you think
Well,
media will go in the
well,
future.
we are certainly trying to figure out what role AI has in our business. Um, Obviously, we still think there's a lot of value in having a real person doing reporting and writing and the analysis part that you're talking about. I think w- I think we're on the cusp of seeing a lot of people lean back into local media. I think you know there's so much there's so much discourse and so many people live kind of in these echo chambers of whether you're left leaning or right leaning or whatever you live in this world where you're getting all this national news that just you're getting it from sources that fit your opinion.
Mhm.
And I think what we see is that people value we part of the reason we've been successful is because we are covering people in the community where we are doing business too. And so we understand the climate in Des Moines. We understand the challenges that people are facing or want to celebrate the successes they're having. So I think you're going to see, there's going to be a renewed interest in good quality journalism done locally. And
Yeah.
I think we are excited we feel like we're poised to be a leader in that space. Now, that doesn't mean that we can just keep doing things exactly how we've always been doing them. We talked about, what are the new ways to deliver and disseminate our information and get it in front of an audience that isn't just inside the Des Moines metro area. How do we reach all four corners of the state?
Yeah.
Well, that's something we're figuring out. Because right now you go to Sioux City and in Des Moines, people know the business record brand. In Sioux City, there's some, but most don't.
Sure.
Or you go
Sure.
to Decorah, most don't.
Yeah.
So how do we expand our footprint while still staying true to what our mission is, which is serving the niche, finding the need,
Yeah.
and filling the need.
And I think that's kind of industry agnostic as well, meaning the agricultural industry. There's your point before when you were like, there's a lot of people talking about Iowa Hawkeye football and criticizing it and breaking down the plays. I could do it, but nobody cares. Uh,
I mean, we could have a heck of a good time doing it, Joe. I
and we
mean,
used to do that back in the
yeah,
day,
we used to
and
do that, but we didn't get paid to do it.
we
We
didn't
just
get
did
paid
it.
for it. Yeah, yeah. And so that's kind of where I fell in love with agriculture too, because it's this niche industry that has all these branches, and I just see especially a relationship with a business publications where you can use the way you could create content, the way you know how to distribute, the way you know how to network, and just kind of branch into an industry that potentially might be a little bit underserved in the area,
Right.
especially when you look at Iowa and whether or not the stat is true. Is 97% of the state
I
really
am gonna
agriculture?
actually fact check that
I
when we're
know, fact
done
check me on that.
because it's kinda bugging me.
It's bugging me too. Well, I'm trying to think if it was ChatGPT that told me that or Google, but probably ChatGPT in these days, but
See, there you go. You gotta figure out the role of AI in your business, Joe.
yeah. I will say, yeah, I use the heck out of it, I can tell you that. I am not scared of it. I think it's a game changer in where we're heading, and this is a whole 'nother topic of conversation that I don't wanna go down, but it's definitely a game changer, but I would be remiss if I didn't talk a little bit about Connie here,
Yep.
and hopefully she'll listen. She probably doesn't remember me, but
She
I just
does.
wanna
She
she does,
does.
okay, okay. Well, good, because I worked at CityView. I call it CityView for what? 4 or 5 years, something like that, and then she had the vision before anybody knew to sell that off because she started seeing things like Napster and Spotify, and all the arts and entertainment was going way before. She was a visionary before that, but, um she's an amazing, amazing person and influenced me in a short amount of time when I was a young person that really needed some influencing back in those days on how to be a professional, how to hold yourself in a room, how to walk into a room and own it, how to celebrate your employees
Yeah.
and your business, and make them more of a part of it than even you as the CEO are. And those are lessons that I've always thought about with Connie, and I just hold her, and she's this legendary figure in Iowa. And for those of you that don't know Connie or not in Des Moines, Google her, and you'll be able to tell her influence right off the bat. She's just amazing. So I wanna give you the floor. First of all, Connie, if you're listening, I wanna say thank you so much for being a huge part of my life. And then Jason, I want you to talk about her as well a little bit.
Connie she started out, she's from a small town in Northwest Iowa. She started out, she came to Des Moines and, you know, she, she's 92 years old and she still comes to work every day.
It's
Um,
amazing, by
we
the
made her
way.
commute a little shorter. She lives in the building that our office is in now. So her commute's just down the elevator. So that's good. But, she did a lot of things before she was the first woman to do a lot of things. She was the first or one of the very first to be in the Business Hall of Fame. She bought Iowa Title Company, which was the first business she owned, and knew nothing really about the title business. And she always said it was like there were three of them in town and they were third, or there was
Mhm.
four in town and they were fourth. But she was the first one of those title companies to automate and have computers. So she saw the need before she
Right.
even really knew. She just knew that this is a better, more efficient way to do things. And a lot of things that we enjoy in Des Moines or in Iowa, Wine Fest that happens every year was Connie's idea. She brought it back from Sarasota, Florida. Um, Restaurant Week that happens every August is something that she went, well, why can't we do this here? They do it in big cities. We can do it here.
Right.
Um, DSM magazine, you know, 22 years ago when that started, I don't think anybody referred to Des Moines as DSM. That was our
Yeah.
airport designation. And now you see DSM, like the Greater Des Moines Partnership has, well, they're DSM USA.
Yep.
Okay. We can't give Connie 100% credit for that, but that's one of those things
She's
that
playing a role, man. Yeah.
we played a role. And to tell you I mean, at 91 or 90, she for charity jumped out of an airplane. I wouldn't do that at 55. I wouldn't have
I
done
would
that at
never do that.
25. No
No
chance.
chance. Zero
I don't think
chance.
I could have gotten myself onto the airplane, but the Above and Beyond Cancer folks, Dr. Deming would put the fundraiser together, was having trouble finding people to do it. And so
Yeah.
he asked Connie and she's like, of course I'll do it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so now she's done twice, because why
Yeah.
not? Why wouldn't you?
Why wouldn't you at 91 years
Yeah.
old, you know?
So she is, and I think above and, she's a couple of things about her. She is a risk taker, and
Mhm.
she's talked about how you can build the risk-taking muscle. You can practice and get more comfortable at taking risks, but they're always calculated risks. She's
Sure.
always thought of every angle. And I think one of the things that I've always respected the most is almost never, I've been here 25 and a half years, whatever, almost 26 years. I've never seen her react to something on pure emotion. She has the ability to bottle that up, and if she needs to think about it overnight before she addresses something, she will, because she wants to make sure she's removed as much of the emotion as she can. I had I had a boss once here that said the worst meetings he ever had with Connie is when she stopped talking, because then he knew he had really done something bad. And
Right.
she was self-controlling and then going to go think about it, and they would talk
Processing.
about it again tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
exactly.
but that is a skill that I know I can always get better at.
Yeah.
But seeing it in action every day, and just a genuine care and compassion for employees.
Yeah. It's so inspiring, and it's why I love talking with you. I mean, I still love talking with you. I still obviously stay in touch with Dueno and a lot of those people back in the day that have been there forever. And she's an inspiration. I said it before when we were talking before this show. I was like, man, if there's a Hall of Fame in Iowa, she'd definitely be a first ballot. And you were like, Joe, there is a Hall of Fame and she is in it. And I'm like, oh yeah, okay. Well, I didn't even know that, but
Yeah.
no, it's awesome, man. It's a great story. And for those of you who are wondering the connection here, watch business publications for what they're going to do and what visions they're seeing, because they've been able to spot content and create visions before trends even start. So I think that's the reason why I love staying connected with you guys, and I'm honored to have you on, man. I love this, and you're
Well, and I told you beforehand, I said, I've listened to some of your other podcasts, and you're digging into stuff that the Joe I knew 25 years ago, I didn't know you were going to have the knowledge to do that.
yeah,
But
yeah.
you've grown and come a long way. And it was, I'm glad you kind of connected the dots here at the end to why you had us on, because both my grandpas were farmers, and one of them not very good at it, so he started doing something else. But the other one was lifelong cattle farmer, soybeans and corn and alfalfa in western Minnesota. But that's the I don't claim to be an ag expert.
Yeah.
But I've lived in Iowa a whole long time, and I've worked here a long time, and I think we're all interconnected in some way. Like you started off, ag sort of is the common thread that runs through everything in this state some way, somehow.
100%, and amen to that, man. That's a great way to close this. It's so true. It's in our blood, it's in our genes, it's in our history, and um, yeah, it's like I said, man. This is gonna be a good one. I appreciate you so much for coming on. Tell everybody how to get in touch with you, with business publications, with all the, go ahead and give it one more plug here. So fire away.
So a plug, if you want to check out the business record, you just go to businessrecord.com, and you can see all the content, and you can get in touch with our editorial team. That would be really, we're always looking for great story ideas. So if you have something, you can reach out at newsroom@bpcdm.com, or you can see the editors and the reporters on our website. We're always looking for those things that are, flying under the radar that need to be celebrated. You can go to dsmmagazine.com and check out that publication, and the same thing. If you have something that the world needs to know about, let us know, because, we have great reporters and great editors, but it's hard to cover. They can only do so much. So, we need people to raise their hand and show us the good stuff they're doing. And the one thing that our president and publisher always says is, it's a lot more fun to cover good news than bad news. So go make some good news
There you
and
go.
then let us know about it, because we want to cover it.
Nice. Well, thank you so much, man. I appreciate you so much. I'm grateful for our friendship over these years as well. And I'm looking forward to staying in touch. And let's go grab another beer one of these days for sure.
Sounds good.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Jason Swanson. Hey, folks, thanks for tuning into the Germinate podcast. If you found value in today's episode, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with others in the industry. And join me next time as we continue to explore the innovations and strategies shaping the future of agriculture and business. Until then, keep growing, keep innovating, and keep germinating your success.